We're going to begin our next panel discussion, and these are representatives from the Orange County Transportation Planning Agencies. They're here to discuss the role they play in transportation planning in our region, as well as what will happen from their perspective to the 18 different traffic congestion relief ideas that were submitted over the past year to TCA from the public and local elected officials. So it gives me great pleasure to first introduce Valerie McFall. She's in the middle there. And Valerie is TCA's Chief Environmental Planning Officer. Her responsibilities include managing California's largest public tolling agency's nearly 2,200 acres of open space, including coastal sagebrush, a scrub, wetland and riparian habitat and oak woodlands, identifying and negotiating acquisition of additional open space parcels, and preparing environmental documents per CEQA and NEPA guidelines for the agency's highway improvements and associated capital improvement projects, among other things. That was a mouthful. Also joining us to the right of her is Greg Nord from OCTA. Greg joined OCTA in 2005, where he is now in his third cycle as the project manager for the Long Range Transportation Plan. Greg's position at OCTA requires him to coordinate with agencies from the local level to the federal level on a wide variety of transportation issues. This is exemplified by his 2 terms chairing the Transportation Conformity Working Group, a forum that coordinates all levels of government to meet Southern California's air quality conformity requirements. Additionally, he has served as the vice chair to the Orange County Council of Governments Technical Advisory Committee, which is comprised of planning staff from most of Orange County's local agencies, including Caltrans and TCA. And lastly, over to the right of me, is Lan Zhao, is the Deputy Director of Planning and Local Assistance for Caltrans District 12. Lan is responsible for regional planning, system planning, community planning, IGR local development review, freight mobility, corridor management, advanced planning project studies, managed lane studies, and local assistance. It's a lot. Lan holds 2 master's degrees in both urban planning and civil engineering and is both a certified planner and engineer. Well, thank you 3 very much for being here today. And after that first panel, I bet you're real excited. Well, I have a question actually for all 3 of you, and you can go in any order you'd like. Please briefly explain what your role, your agency's role is and plays in regional transportation planning, and talk about how your agency will review the 18 ideas that were submitted by the public over the past year.
I can start. TCA's role is, as a regional transportation agency, is to enhance mobility in Orange County as well as Southern California. And we work with our transportation partners, Caltrans and OCTA, as well as the local cities in the County of Orange, to complement all of their projects. Obviously, we have lots of roadways in our county and freeways and a lot of other projects. And TCA, again, works with our partners to make the best of our communities and make our ability to get home in the evening or get to work in the morning as easy as possible. And we provide a choice for you residents every day. You can opt in to take the toll road and make sure you can get to work, within 20 minutes or however long you need to get to work. Or you can take the freeway, but every day we provide you a choice, and you can use that option at your decision point. As far as our role in the 18 ideas that have been submitted to date by the public, we'll take all those ideas and we'll evaluate them for their feasibility. We'll look at whether or not they provide traffic relief. We'll look at air quality, how many of these options actually help our community in reducing air pollution. Which ones provide the least impacts to biological resources. TCA does have 51 miles of roadway, but we also have over 2,000 acres of open space. So we have been able to show that you can build facilities and also be environmentally sensitive. As you heard earlier today, we do have another $28 million that would go towards environmental projects. So we will look at all those issues, all those topics with these 18 ideas and choose the best one that provides the most benefits at the least impacts.
Thank you. Greg, how about you?
Yeah, OCTA looks at the transportation system from a whole county-wide perspective and looking at all the modes. And every 4 years we develop a long-range transportation plan. that looks at the transportation needs throughout the county and looks out about 25 years or so. And in developing that plan, we work with our partner agencies throughout the counties, including the cities, Caltrans, TCA, and try to identify a project list that addresses those needs. And that really serves as our input into the regional transportation plan that's developed by the Southern California Association of Governments. In this process, we're hoping to play an important role in participating with the outcomes of the process. Sorry. Yeah, we're just hoping to play an important role in the process and coordinate closely with all the stakeholder agencies that are involved.
Thank you. And Lan.
First of all, on behalf of the State Department of Transportation, we sincerely appreciate your participation. I'm also very happy to be given this opportunity to hear from the community, hear from you. And as Caltrans plays a very critical role in the regional transportation planning, and from my perspective, I see several levels. First of all, under the California state law, and our department is charged to develop a statewide transportation plan and to reflect the statewide policies and priorities. And we also write regional transportation planning guidelines for CTC, California Transportation California Transportation Commission. So once the guidelines is approved, and all regional transportation planning agencies need to follow. And also, as our district, we work very closely with SCAG, Southern California Association of Government, and with their RTP development process, and make sure the regional transition plan reflects state priorities and policies. And we also locally work with OCTA. When they develop their long-range transition plan, we want to make sure we review and comment, provide input, make sure consistent with the statewide transition plan and the regional plan, and our department's mission and priorities is well reflected in their plan. And lastly, but also most important, we work with all elected officials and County of Orange and all the local like a city government and all the publics, and to make sure we implement and take actions to implement what's being approved in those approved plans. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, Valerie, what kind of technical exercises are each of these ideas put through in a project initiation document process, otherwise known as a PID?
Yes. They're taken through many analytical processes, and if we could put the slide up that shows the 18 ideas to get the public. So as you see, the 18 ideas on the slide, they were all presented to us through the past 2 public forum meetings. So we'll take all of these ideas and look at stormwater, how much of these stormwater will be produced by these different ideas. We'll look at traffic relief, which one provides the most traffic relief to our community. Again, we'll look at air quality. We'll look at biological resources, which ones have the least impacts on biological resources, whether it be gnatcatchers, toads, owls, all the different biological species. We'll also look at other BMPs, right-of-way impacts. We'll also look at costs. So we take the whole spectrum of technical reports, and we do a high-level review of each of these through the PID phase, and then we go into the environmental impact report, the next phase. We take them through more detailed technical studies, which is a multi-year process. But each of these 18 ideas will be evaluated against each other and completed through the PID process.
And then how is the public's participation in that PID or PID process?
Through the PID process, typically it's done at the agency level. It's very rare that we're out in the public at this early stage. Typically, a project through a project sponsor is developed, purpose and need is identified, and different alternatives are analyzed internally. And not until the PID phase is done does the public really get involved. But again, this is a very unique process. We've been to the public now. This is our third time. And we've solicited input from the public. And so we're taking this opportunity to get the public involved at this early stage to get their feedback, their concerns, what they value the most, and what they want to see as potential options for moving forward.
Okay. Greg, are any of these 18 ideas already covered by OCTA's long-range transportation plan?
Yes, a handful of the ideas up here are already included in the long-range plan. We have the build-out of the master plan of arterial highways, the signal synchronization network, the District 5 bikeways, the Ortega widening, as well as the extension of the carpool lane from Pico down to the San Diego County line. And finally, the 241 connection to I-5 is included in the plan as well. There's no specific alternative identified in the plan. It's just the conceptual.
Well, that's a... Did you write down that question? We'll get... Anyway, Greg, anything else on that? Or
No,
is that good?
those are the projects that are included in the LRTP at this time.
All right, thank you. Lan, what role does Caltrans play during the vetting of all these ideas that they spoke about?
Okay, usually those ideas start from, usually the planning, those ideas come from, system planning, regional planning, community participation, and gather those ideas. Once those ideas been gathered, then we start to, we call PID-PDS, stands for Project Study Report and Project Development Support. So what this is a first step and kind of to look at what this study, this phase of the project development really try to do a couple of things. One is to develop a well-defined purpose and a need statement. So it's the need is to identify the system deficiency and kind of identify what the problem is. And then the purpose is what the objectives, what we try to accomplish together. So if that's a key foundation of the entire process. And so if to make it more easier to relate it to everybody in the audience, I would use a kind of analogy for this. If you need to go to your child's wedding, so then you look at your closet, you don't have a beautiful dress and for the wedding. That is the need. You need a pretty and a nice, presentable dress. That's the need. Then you are saying, okay, and what the objective, what's the purpose of doing this? Go shopping, everyone will get ideas or try different dresses. The purpose is I want to make the wedding, make myself very presentable, and then make my child proud of me, then give my child a most memorable and beautiful wedding day. That is the purpose. So I think that's the kind of give you kind of some idea. That's about the major project like this, we try to do something similar. Identify what the needs, the deficiencies is, then what we try to accomplish together. That's one thing we need to work through this process and to define that. Second thing we try to the process to do what the scope of the project, the cost of the project, the schedule, how long it takes to deliver the project like this. And then, then what's the potential risks are. So I think that's this preliminary study, it's an engineering report. It is a technical report. That is the issues we try to resolve during this process.
So Valerie, you talked earlier about the 18 areas and the PIDs and going over it. How does Caltrans and OCTA participate in that particular part of the process while you're going through that analysis?
There are project partners, and obviously Caltrans is the state owner of the state highway system. They're also the designated lead for the federal environmental process. So they're our partner throughout the development of the project and throughout the environmental process. OCTA is the County Transportation Commission. So all projects that are developed in the county are ultimately provided to OCTA, who then in turn provides our county's project information up to SCAG, the Southern California Association of Governments. And SCAG captures all of the regions, the LA region's projects. So if they look at, as Lan was saying earlier, the transportation needs for Southern California, what our air quality requirements are. So they model every project. And similar to what SCAG does for all of LA region, OCTA does that for Orange County. And so again, working with both of our transportation partners, we make sure that they're all up to speed on what is being studied so they can capture it in their modeling, and also make sure that it complies with any projects they're looking at for statewide purposes or for the county.
Okay. You know, Greg, my understanding is there's a long-range transportation plan update coming.
Right.
And so what is the timeline for that, and will the public get an opportunity to weigh in?
Yeah, we actually kicked off the plan earlier this year. We've started engaging with the local jurisdictions primarily, elected officials and planning directors from throughout Orange County. And then this summer we're going to be putting a survey online that's available to the public, and we'll be bringing in input that way while we're developing some of the scenarios that will go into the plan. And then by spring 2018, we'll have a draft plan available for public review, and I'm sure there'll be an open house or two along the way as well.
So we say open house, so before that it's just going to be a survey?
Right now it's a survey.
Okay.
There'll probably be other opportunities as well.
Okay.
And so just keep an eye on our website. We'll be posting additional information on outreach.
Yeah, will something be notified of the community? Would you be sending something out, or?
Yeah, there'll be notifications on especially when the draft plan is being released. It's usually notified, sent out through mailers, and I think we do some newspaper listings as well. So there's a number of ways we get the word out.
Okay. Valerie, actually I think it's for all three of you again. Will we be able to have an opportunity to recommend other traffic congestion relief ideas?
Yes, the public will have a continued opportunity to weigh in. In fact, if we could put up the slide of the process, I think it's really helpful, and hopefully all of you can see it in the audience. We have a slide that shows the multi-year steps. So this slide here illustrates where we've been and where we are right now, which is the project initiation phase. Each of the asterisks that are listed on the boxes above is when the public will have an opportunity to participate. Right now, because we're at the early stages and we've received 18 ideas from the public, we do welcome your ideas. If you have suggestions as far as revisions to existing ideas or new projects that you want us to evaluate, we welcome those opportunities to look at them. We do use existing information, whether it's from prior studies that TCAs conducted or Caltrans or OCTA, but we welcome continued feedback. But as you see on the slide, it's a multi-year process. The PID phase won't be completed until probably beginning of next year, and then we're in 2 years of technical studies. But throughout the process, you will have a chance to weigh in and provide additional comments.
So when you think throughout the process, actually every box will say, is there a part for public input?
The ones with the asterisks, so
which is every box.
Exactly. So when the draft is released, right now we're anticipating in 2020, and that will be circulated for public comment and review. But even prior to that, we'll have a formal scoping meeting with the public, and that's where you can come and present your ideas. You can look at what we've done to date and see whether or not you, again, want to make modifications or make new additions to that. So we'll definitely keep everyone engaged, and we have information on our website with our transportation partners. So we're trying to get as much information out to the public and vice versa, get that back from them.
Great. Lan, since both TCA and OCTA have potential projects that could impact the I-5 from Pico to the county line, what coordination efforts need to take place?
Caltrans is the owner and operator of the state highway system. And by saying that, that's under state law. And that means we have the ultimate responsibility for operations, maintenance, and tort liability for state highway system. And with the limited transportation funding, and we absolutely always welcome any our stakeholders and partners transportation and in the transportation industry, and can bring the transportation solutions and the funding options, anything to the table to help us expand or enhance the transportation system for everybody in the region. And so that's why we are really excited to work both agencies, OCTA and the TCA. And so for OCTA, they're having this add HOV lanes on I-5 to the county line. And TCA is looking at all those 18 ideas to try to reduce congestion and enhance mobility for the South Orange County. So we definitely very much welcome to bring those ideas and concepts and look at and then work together. So since we have those there, doesn't matter OCTA and the TCA, they all follow Caltrans like procedure and guidelines and practice. So we review and comment on the stuff, so make sure some consistency. So if we see any major discrepancy, and we make sure the continued communication, those triangles, three organizations, we make sure we communicate very well about assumptions, methodologies, lots of, from technical policy level and from leadership level, we keep the communication going, because ultimately, even we are different agencies, we all for the same shared mission to improve safety, mobility, and sustainability for the people in Orange County. There's no difference there. So I think that's our common goal.
Thank you. Well, folks, we're going to move over to your questions now. And once again, the blue pouches are this room, the clear are for online, and the red are for the overflow room. And again, the cards are there, and feel free to ask more questions. First question is, how do you evaluate traffic congestion when there has been massive freeway construction from San Clemente to Mission Viejo for the past 2 to 3 years? Doesn't seem that your modeling will be accurate.
So there has been a lot of construction in South Orange County. I've seen it, all of you have seen it, and you drive it every day. Luckily, there's a lot of information out there from prior years, prior to the construction. But also, because this is such a lengthy process, again, we're going to be doing technical studies for over 2 years. So we'll continue to refine the information. We'll be using new models that OCTA is working on. We'll verify those with the Southern California Association of Governments. So because it's a multi-year process and we're able to use existing information, we'll be sure to fine-tune and get the most accurate traffic information that's out there.
Okay, I want to add a little bit on that because it sounds like somebody really concerned about the accuracy of the data. So when we look at the future demand in the system, we really do not need to worry about the construction activities. So when we gather the data, we want to make sure those data is representative, not the off-school season. We do not collect the data during the Thanksgiving weekend and Memorial weekend or when school is not in session. So we have a procedure to decide when is the right data, definitely not during construction period either. So then also when we look at the future demand and long-range transportation plan, we really be driven by population growth and job growth. So it's not, you don't need to worry about it, said, because I have lots of construction in my neighborhood, then, inflated the congestion or delay. So that's not the case here.
So next question is, will Los Petronas be part of the toll road system?
Los Petronas, that is a possibility. We are working with the county. That is an option. It's being designed to state highway standards. So it is potential, but again, it's something that will have to be evaluated. The question was whether or not Los Petronas would be... Los Petronas is the new facility, the new transportation corridor that's being constructed from Oso Parkway down to Cal Camp Road up by Tesoro High School.
The free road, right?
free.
There is a chance that that road would become part of the toll road system. Again, it's being designed to state highway standards, and so we are working in parallel, and that is a potential that would be consistent with the other portions of the toll road.
Okay. Once again, folks, if you have more questions, sounds like you might, please fill out the cards. All right. Do all panelists have stated that they welcome public input? If the majority of the voters in any city vote against an alignment, can it be stopped?
As far as whether or not voters can stop an alignment, that definitely goes into the record, but also what makes a decision is the resource agencies. They play a critical role in permitting a project, and if there's a lot of controversy for a specific alignment, obviously they are not as prone to providing a permit for a project. For example, the 241 green alignment that we rescinded and settled with, we weren't able to get a permit from the California Coastal Commission because of the opposition to that project and the impacts to coastal resources. So we do take the public's input and obviously the resource agencies, but all of that is reflected in when the TCA Board of Directors or Caltrans makes an ultimate decision on whether or not a project should move forward.
Okay. I think, hey folks, let's listen to some of these other questions. Can you please fill out a card, somebody? Please, with the question. Another.
So if the project goes to the voters as an initiative, then yes, that is a possibility, but right now it's not an initiative before the voters. But again, your input does come before our board, and they take that into consideration before approving any project. But right now, the project's not up for a yes or no vote. We're just looking at all the data. We're not moving forward with a project. Again, we have 18 ideas that are in front of us, in front of Caltrans, in front of all of you. If you have other suggestions, please bring them to us. We're here to get your input. We're not here.
All right. All right, here's another question, and I think it's more about process. But it says, why does San Clemente get only one vote for a decision that impacts its own city?
As far as one vote, I would think maybe you're referencing your city council person that sits on our board. But again, each of you have a voice. Each of you can weigh in on the process. So we're here today. Again, we're here earlier in the process because we value your feedback. So each of you have a voice, so it's not just one vote. All of you get to weigh in on this. And I welcome your comments. That is part of the process, and you will continue to be updated, and you can provide input throughout the way.
Here's an idea for a question. Has any consideration been given to double-decking the I-5?
I don't think double-decking the I-5 has been taken into consideration to date.
What idea? All righty.
If I may,
It would be expensive.
Well, no, I mean, if that's something that seriously is being suggested by you as the community, I mean, submit that to us, and we will put that through the rigor of reports and analyses that we are with the other ones. That's the kind of feedback we're looking at. If that's something the community wants, I mean, you have to understand that obviously there may be visual impacts, but if that's something that the community wants, that's the type of analysis we'll do. So we, again, get that input to us.
Right. Now this next one, you know, for future reference more than tonight, but why did you invite close to 100,000 households but only had seats for a few hundred? And I don't know if you can answer that. Maybe it's a practical question of, to be honest, folks, this was the largest facility we have, and for now.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's maybe other avenues.
We will, again, take that in consideration if we have, when I have our next forum. But our two prior forums, we had the first one, I think we had a little over 100 people. The second one, maybe 150 people. So it was just from gauging the prior forums, we thought we accommodated more than enough interest. But again, we're broadcasting this on the internet, we're recording it, so the public can continue to weigh in. But obviously, there's a lot of interest, and I think that's fantastic. All of you are interested in the process, and if there is another opportunity, we will take that in consideration and have a venue to accommodate all of the people.
So next question is about option number 15. Is that still a viable option after the settlement? It does not affect existing homes versus option 9. It only affects wildlife.
So option 15, if we can go to the avoidance map, I think that will be helpful as well. So again, option 15 is within the hatched area of the graphic, and so that's not something that TCA could fund or construct. It's part of the settlement agreement that the agency reached with the Safe Center River Coalition in 2016.
Next question is there really... They want to see.
The 18 ideas, again, they were submitted by the public through our last two public forums. So all these ideas, they will be evaluated. So even though the alignments that are in the avoidance area, we will evaluate their technical feasibility. And if an alignment, again, there were alignments that were suggested by the public that attended the past two forum meetings.
Okay. This is similar to the last question, but is there really any realistic likelihood that you will pursue an environmental impact report for routes 18 and 9? So we can go to so 18 and 9. So 18 is the Beltway. 9 is the La Plata variation down. Oh, I'm sorry. It's the Beltway short. So those were two alternatives that were recommended, again, through the public forum process. But it is possible that they will make it into the state and federal environmental process. Again, we're doing the project initiation document to look at whether or not they provide congestion relief, minimize environmental impacts, and at the end of that process, we will move those remaining alternatives through the EIR, EIS, and we will provide that to you, the public, to see that information. But there is a chance that that idea will move forward if it meets the purpose and need for the project and all those other technical areas that we talked about earlier tonight. Well, this question I actually would like to hear from OCTA and Caltrans, and then if you need to, Valerie, you can answer. And it does say, why is TCA driving non-toll initiatives? How can a toll agency objectively evaluate non-toll options? So how does OCTA and Caltrans involve these?
Well, through the process, I think they're just looking at all available options at this point. And like Valerie was saying, there were two public forums before where they were just taking input. And so they've taken the public's input, looking at all the options at this point, and proceeding into the evaluation process.
Caltrans, do you want to answer that?
Yeah.
It's, wow, that's honestly this question. Do you want to answer first on that last question? And then we'll get to your question, which is right here. We'll do that. We're talking about the first question then. Or do you want to answer on that other one?
Yeah, so I just
It's the original question we had before about why is the TCA driving non-toll options. We're still on that question. Okay, we'll get back to this question.
Yeah, I think because all those ideas were gathered by through TCA's public outreach, so I think legally, and if the ideas, and we have to go through all the ideas and go through the project delivery process, so need to be evaluated. And somebody just worried about we're wasting public fund or tax dollars money to evaluate green alignment. And then, but legally we still have to put, another reason is that green alignment has been approved, RTP, SCAG's RTP. You know, it's before this legal settlement. Because SCAG's RTP is every 4 years. So 4 years ago, so without this legal settlement, there was the alignment in the approved RTP, Regional Transition Plan. So we cannot just remove it. And then, but we wouldn't waste lots of money. Then you can, in the document itself, you can just say, because of the legal agreement, this will fall into the avoidance area, then we will not do lots of waste money to do any technical, all those, impact studies or detailed studies. Just, that's the process.
Thank you. Now going to the questions here, it says, first of all, this says, how do we get some of these options off the table? But likewise, why are some of the options of the 18 and others still up here if they're not seriously going to be considered?
Well, again, because the public has submitted all 18 ideas, we have to evaluate them equally right now before we start to remove the ideas. And once we get through the project initiation phase and we get into the state CEQA and federal NEPA phase, we will continue to take the remaining ideas and do very detailed technical studies. But all the ideas right now will be taken through the project initiation phase. So all of them are up there because those are the ones that have been submitted to date by the public, and we want to be responsive to those suggestions and take a look at them and say whether or not they reduce congestion in our area.
All right. Folks, please, it's very hard to listen when we have 20 people talking at the same time. We've got a lot of people here that ask questions. Please, if you have additional questions, raise your hand and get a card and bring it up, okay? Rather than yelling it. But then we'll have to repeat the question. But can you write it down, please? It's very hard, and it's not fair to the other people as well, okay? You have hands over here, folks. Can you get them a card? All right. Here's a question. What percentage of OC commuters currently use the existing toll roads?
Currently, we have over 300,000 transactions per day. So there's that many more vehicles that are off of our freeway system. So we have TCA's toll facilities make up over 20% of the county highway system. So the transactions and the toll usage varies every day based on what you drivers choose to take. The roads are not. So they take over 30,000, 40,000, 50,000, depending on the segment of the facility. Is the ridership is dependent on where the drivers are going to. But in the project that's moving forward, the 18 ideas, we will evaluate how many users will use the roadways, and we will have that information available, and that will be part of the decision-making process as whether or not a solution is viable.
This is a question from, we only have a few questions or time left. This is from somebody online. How is the best way to get our voices heard? Again, telling us how.
please submit your comments, submit your information, whether or not you oppose the 18 ideas, whether you want a different idea. A gentleman recommended double decking. We had not looked at that previously. I don't think it has been studied, but if you have a variation of one of the ideas up, let us know. Obviously, we've heard your comments about specific alignments that you're not in favor of, but submit your comments. There is information on the flyer that went out to all of you. You can submit your comments online, and we will have that as part of the record.
Who are the people that put all these 18
In the last panel, they said Camp Pendleton was off limits. Please provide, I guess, proof that you even tried.
During the California Coastal Commission hearing in 2008, Camp Pendleton actually sent a letter and distributed it that they would not allow any alignment, any other alignment than the green alignment. They want to restrict any project, any road option until their most northern boundary, which again was where the prior alignment was. They will not entertain any other options because it impacts their ability to train, and they provide an important function and mission for us, and anything other than where the green alignment was is not allowable, and they have provided that in writing to the public and to TCA.
How about going behind Pendleton? That's around it.
And those are ideas and comments. Please bring them forward, folks. What is, question is, and I believe this is a company, what is SOMA's role currently with TCA in the toll roads?
SOMAS is performing biological surveys for us. So they're out in all of the alignments that go through undeveloped open space areas because we have existing data for the 18 ideas. But for areas where there isn't prior information, we have SOMAS out there doing surveys. So when we come to our board with a recommended number of alternatives that we want to move forward into the EIR, EIS, we understand and our board understands what the potential impacts are. You know, if there's listed species, if there's protected species, we understand that going in because that has a level of risk associated with that and whether or not you'd be able to get a permit. So we're being proactive and we have our biologists out there now collecting that data.
Okay. And this person says, toll roads cost money. How will you make sure toll roads are used and not sit empty?
All the pricing that goes in play is based on demand. So the more demand we have, we set the pricing to lessen the congestion because, again, the benefit the toll roads provide is a congested-free alternative to the freeway system. So if there's less congestion on the freeway, then obviously we don't have as many users on the toll road system and the price will reflect that. It's supply and demand. If you have more demand for the system, then the price will reflect that. It's all market driven.
Okay. How long do stakeholders have to submit other options beyond the current 18?
If we go back to the slide about the process, the number of steps is a multi-year process. So all the way up until right now, the schedule shows 2020 for releasing the draft environmental document. So you have an opportunity to weigh in up until that point as far as looking at different ideas. But beginning of next year, we're planning to have a formal scoping meeting where, again, you, the public, can come and suggest ideas that you haven't yet to date. And we will put that into the process and look at whether or not they provide traffic relief. But again, it's a multi-step, multi-year process, and the public has to stay engaged the whole time. That is required of state and federal rules and laws. And again, TCA as a public agency is required to have you, the public, involved in that process.
You might want to put the chart up with the 18 options. Which of the 18 routes are not possible due to the settlement, such as option number 15?
So the ideas, and actually if we could put the other graphic that shows the 18 ideas, probably more
The map.
the map of the 18 ideas.
That one?
Yeah.
It's hard to see.
It's hard to
actually.
see. So it's number 8 Number 8 and number 15, the green alignment, those are not permittable by TCA as part of the settlement agreement. But everything to the west of that is an option. So it's the eastern portion of Rancho Mission Viejo that TCA cannot build any alignment in.
Okay, folks, we have another Camp Pendleton question. Why didn't we all ask the government to let the road go to Camp Pendleton? That's another Camp Pendleton question.
Asked the government. We went to California Coastal Commission. They denied our permit application. We went before the State Water Resources Control Board to get a permit from the state of California. They denied the issuance of our permit. So we did go to the government. We went to the state government. Camp Pendleton put on record what alignment they would accept. We did look at other options that went through Camp Pendleton, but that wasn't viable. Again, Camp Pendleton, their mission is to train the Marines, prepare them to serve the American public, and they have to preserve that ability. In any alignment that cuts through their base prevents their ability to train. So they will only accept the northernmost alignment, and we are not allowed to build a facility there.
Here's a question. If the Beltway, number 9 and number 18, is removed from consideration now, will it ever be considered again as a possible traffic mitigation option in the future? Maybe the other two might want to answer that.
I think right now the Beltway, just like any other 18 ideas, they equally will be evaluated. So I think it's still premature to say we will use it as a supplemental or traffic impact mitigation measure at this point. So we haven't eliminated any option yet.
Okay.
Yeah. Again, yeah, it's premature to say whether or not they'll be eliminated. However, if there's a transportation need in the future, we go through similar processes such as this to identify the appropriate solutions. So.
When he's looking for next question, I just want to say, I understand like any major improvement project always come with a major opposition. So, and so this is okay, yeah. So. Yeah, I think it's as all three agencies, and then with support from the elected officials, they all encourage, all would like to hear from the community. I just let you know, based on our department, the project delivery procedure, we do not go to public at this technical engineering stage phase. And then this is, usually the official public input phase start with the environmental, and we call PAED, project approval, and environmental assessment, impact assessment phase. So really, like, we are going above and beyond. Really, very, I understand the audience still very. I talk with a very academic, very neutral, and as a procedure, how we deliver all those projects, big or small, we follow the same procedure. So I think, that's maybe, it's a nicer piece of information you would like to hear from a third party. So it is really, we invite all of you start extremely early. It's early. It's not required, but we are not, even not required, and Ryan told me the same thing, even not required, we would like to step out to go to hear from the community. Yeah.
Okay, we only have a couple minutes left. So will the ideas presented today for alternate routes for the 241 to I-5 be added to the current 19?
18 ideas right now. If there's potential, I guess, double-decking. But yeah, if you want to submit ideas, again, I invite you to do that. There's a website, getmovingOC.com. You can submit your ideas. We welcome your input and your feedback on the 18 ideas that exist today. If you have feasible ideas, again, on modifications to those, if you want to see other improvements, we welcome that, and we will include that in our information that we're preparing. And if it's a viable solution that, again, reduces impacts to the environment, provides congestion relief, then that's something that we will move forward into the state and federal process. Again, we have to evaluate all the alternatives equally, and that's what we're trying to do through this process.
Do you know how many trips would alignment 14 to I-5 take away from the I-5 during peak hours?
And that's the type of information that we're going to be preparing as part of this study. We'll be updating the traffic studies and be looking at the number of cars that a specific alignment may or may not use, and that will go into the decision process whether or not an alignment is moved forward. Because again, it has to be a viable alternative that reduces congestion and takes traffic off your streets and takes traffic off the I-5 freeway.
All right, one more. I was told I could do one more. I pushed. How has the positive impact of I-5 expansion and improvements been accounted for in the 241 extension?
That information, again, when that project is wrapping up, I think fairly soon, we will take that into account in our traffic studies and the technical reports. And those, again, will be conducted over the next couple of years. So we'll use that information along with the traffic model, and all that will be put through the process to evaluate which options perform the best.
Okay, thank you. Well, I want to thank you three very much for being here tonight. And folks, at least give them a round of applause for being here. We want to thank all of you for your participation. I want to thank you for including Saddleback College in this process. We are your community college, and we're here to facilitate matters such as this. We are here to, in the future, to help that. And I'm going to bring up Jennifer Fitzgerald. There it goes.
Thank you so much for participating with us tonight here at Saddleback College campus and also online. I want to encourage you for the next hour. We'll have video set up if you have comments you want to put on the record through video. We also have a court reporter outside who will also be here for another hour if you'd like to dictate your comments to the court reporter, so those are part of the public record. We also have comment boxes as you leave, and we encourage you to give your comments that way. And I also wanted to say thank you to Sophia Liang, who is our illustrator this evening. You'll all be receiving these illustrations that she's created on the getmovingoc.com website. And I'll just encourage you again, go to the getmovingoc.com website to continue to participate. Thank you so much.